Hey, thanks again for watching my video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions or recommendations, hit me up in the comments below. Thanks again. All right, everybody, welcome back to Orthodox Review. Today is going to be a big one because we are going over the EOB New Testament, his Eastern Orthodox Bible. Oh boy, okay, there's some history behind the publications on this one, so let's just dive right into the basics here. And man, do I wish I had a bigger camera. So, here you have the original printing, which is actually a CreateSpace printing from Amazon, believe it or not. It retails for $26.99, I think is the going price right now. There was a hardcover that was available for a little while, and that was about $39, $40. It's also available as a free download, and we'll get into that in a little bit because there's some interesting history behind the translation itself, but let's just go over the versions first. It was edited between 2007 and 2012. It was finally published in 2013. It's well, we'll get into construction in a little bit. The second item we have that is the same translation is the Gospel Book, which was actually what's the word I'm looking for? It was licensed by St. Ignatius Orthodox Press for Legacy Icons back in 2018, and retails for only $29.95. And there's a few interesting quirks about this particular printing that again we'll get into. And then finally, once the camera stops shaking, we have the travel edition of the New Testament that was licensed and published through my my favorite publisher, New Rome Press, just this year, 2019. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's set these aside so I have some room to work with. So the original text of the New Testament, as we have it here, is based on the patriarchal text that was received by the Patriarch of Constantinople in the early 20th century. And by received, of course, we mean that's just the given original Greek text. And what's cool about this translation is it actually started off as being crowdsourced. So anyone with the qualifications could get in there and submit a scholarly translation, and then from that, it took years and years and years, and from that, all those translations were whittled down and cross-checked and cross-checked and cross-checked and cross-checked again, and then finally we get the text that we have today. Let's see, the final edit was by Xander Renault, and is actually approved for use by most English-speaking jurisdictions, and is becoming quite popular in newer prayer and service books outside of those produced by a few monasteries. What you'll find in the original edition, as well as the online website, is several appendices. And let's just go through those quick. Hey, look, I had a bookmark this whole time. I'm trying to both look through the camera and look over the side of the camera. So you have articles on certain bits, like from Acts 20 to 28, the bishops and presbyters, and then you go through what is it? Yeah, honestly, these are better articles than the one you would find in the Orthodox Study Bible, in my humble opinion. But I mean, we're talking about a massive amount of work that went into this. Now, because it's a CreateSpace book, it's not, you're not going to have thin pages or anything. But what you do have is an extremely readable paragraph-style text, and I mean, it is not a light book. but it's just simple glue binding, paperback, but it gets the job done. And I tell you, if you're looking for a knockaround New Testament, this is the one to go with. It could also be used as a free weight for working out. Anyway, let's move on. The second edition that we have here is the Gospel book from 2018. Now, what sets this apart from any other edition of this is that this was originally intended as a pocket gospel book. Obviously, there's nothing pocket about it, but it is beautifully constructed. Nice hardcover, Smithsonian binding. I love saying that. Marker ribbons, all that neat jazz. And the printing is absolutely beautiful. And this is intended to be used the way a gospel book would be used in the church, or even for private use. We have several copies at the church that my priests use when we do services outside or when traveling. This is a great resource to have. And it's not just the Gospels. The Gospels only take up about 2/3 of the book. The rest is supplemental materials. You have the annual sequence, which is just fantastic. You have all your readings for every month, for most major saints, for feasts and commemorations. You have composite readings. You have, it's just anything you would possibly need as a priest or deacon in a mobile gospel book is in here. Have all your movable dates in all 3 calendars. Sorry, let me focus in on that. There we go. So this is just a really well thought out and really well planned and beautiful book. The gold will wear off eventually, but I have this one in my prayer corner. I don't use it a whole lot. I usually go with option 3, which we'll get to in a minute here. But this is the most utilitarian of the Gospels. And of course it is just the 4 Gospel, not any of the epistles, not the Acts, just the Gospel. I would imagine that there are quite a few small mission parishes that have this on their altar. And of course, number 3 from New Rome Press, we have, and it's just the New Testament. And that's real leather, by the way. This one came out just this year. The only thing it really has going for it is that there are some maps in the back. And it has the same intro and codes and everything as the originally published one does. Everything's full color in here. But of course, as I love to show off with New Rome Press, man, that inside cover. That is beautiful. My goodness. And sturdy. Let's see if we can get a good shot of the binding in there. Look at that. Huh? Right? And it is pretty much no frills. It's pretty tight text, but still rather easy to read, believe it or not. Even for someone with bad eyesight like me, I have a pretty easy time reading it. It is, Bible paper, but a little heavier than what you usually find. Wow, I forgot how much this thing costs. $40. There you go. And of course, there'll be links to all 3 of these in the description. There always is. Now, what's interesting about this guy here, it wasn't a Kickstarter per se, but it was, they did pre-orders and people could back the project and just to get it printed initially. And so there was quite a kerfuffle with the printers, and they kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And then finally they were like, hey, we got our Holy Gospel books in, they'll be shipping out soon. And then they found something wrong. Now, even though it said Holy Gospel in red on the other page, all of this gray was supposed to be red. Let me show you the intro to one of the Gospel. So anytime you see this, something like this should have been red. There were 80 copies of this misprint. And we were all sent emails saying, hey, we got these misprints. If you're really desperate for the book, we'll send them, no problem. I said, of course, because I was just excited to have one. And I was one of 3 people in my parish that got one. And so as far as I know, there's only 80 of this particular printing around, so maybe it'll be a collector's item someday. I don't really care. It's the Holy Gospel. It's sacred. It stays in my prayer corner. But a few quick notes about the translation, and then I'll let you guys go, because I don't like to be long-winded, and this is more an overview than a review. I will say I am a big fan of the translation, and you can find these translations now. Oh wait, I mentioned already about it being in prayer books. Anyway, it's incredibly well readable. Let's pick a passage here, since this is the one I opened to. Who knows? As they were coming out, the soldiers found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name, and they compelled him to go with them to carry the cross. A very easy, readable English that does well justice to the old King James English, as well as being a lot more linguistically accurate in some of the translation. And of course, even in the Gospel book, there are a few notes, but when you go and you get the big boy, everything, all the footnotes are there for every possible differentiation in translation from the Greek and the Hebrew. It's this is what the Third Millennium Bible should have been, right here. Anyway, I'm going to leave you for now with that. I hope you all enjoyed this brief look at the Eastern Orthodox Bible, Greek New Testament, and Gospel book. I give it 1.5 solid thumbs up. And of course there will be links to all of these in the description, as well as a link to the original website that you can download the text and articles for free. As always, like, share, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. But most importantly, go to church, say your prayers, and remember God. God bless.